Hi everyone, welcome back to Gloria Dei's online vacation Bible school, to the science portion. This is one of my favorites. I love what we're going to do today. All right, and as you can see, I have a large bowl in front of me and it's full of water. So that is what you're going to need to do today, because if you've already seen our Bible lesson with Miss Janet, you know we are going to be talking about Jesus walking on the water and Jesus calming the storm. So both have to do with water, right? And you know, when Jesus was walking on the water, it was so easy for him. And Peter cried out to him, you know, Lord, if it's really you, let me be able to walk to you. And so, right? And Jesus said, come. And Peter goes, all right. So he climbs out of the boat and he starts walking on the water himself. Isn't that amazing? And then what happened after that? What I love about this account is that it says Peter saw the wind. What happened was that Peter got distracted by the storm, right? He saw the waves. He saw the storm. Instead of focusing on Jesus, he took his eyes off him and started focusing on what was going on around him. And what happened to Peter as a result? He started to sink, right? And so Jesus reached and he cried out to Jesus, Jesus, save me. And did Jesus save him? Yes, he did. He went to him and he reached out his hand and he pulled him up out of the water and said, why didn't you believe? Where's your faith? Right? Now, it might be hard for some of us to walk on water. As many times as I've swam in a pool and in the ocean and in the lake, I have definitely tried to walk on water. It's a miracle, right? And only Jesus can do it. But what I love about this experiment is that it gives us an opportunity to determine whether objects are going to sink or whether they're going to float. So here's what you're going to need. You know, I've already told you you're going to need a bowl of water. Now, if you have a cake pan with big sides, you can use that too. I just like how the glass bowl works. You're going to need objects, and I have a bunch of objects off to the side that I'm going to pull up one at a time, and we're going to just put them in the water to see if it sinks or floats. Now, before you do this, two things. One, make sure you ask mom and dad about what container to use to fill with water, and make sure you have like a tray underneath, because if you get it too full and too many objects in there, the water can, overflow. Secondly, as you go around your home, thinking about these objects that you're going to try to collect to put into your bowl of water to see if they're going to sink or float, make sure you have your mom and dad's permission, okay? Like, don't take the cell phone and try to drop it in the water. Not a good idea. Or maybe their watch. Not a good idea, okay? Make sure you have permission to utilize the objects that you're going to try, all right? So let's get started. We're going to see if these things will sink or float. So the first thing I have is a feather. What do you think? Do you think this is going to sink or float? Well, let's find out. So you're going to just take the object and you're going to put it in the water. Look at that. What is it doing? It's just sitting on top, right? It's pretty cool. Just sitting there. I love it. Now, I'm going to take it out so you can see what else may sink or float. I may leave the other objects in there. We'll just kind of see as we go. All right. The next thing I have is a wooden block. It's like a Jenga block. It's just a small wooden block. It's not too heavy. So what do you think? Is it going to sink or is it going to float? Let's find out. Oh my goodness, look at that. It's floating, right? I for sure thought it might sink because of it being wood, but I know that wood does float, but I thought maybe the paint on it would cause it to be a little too heavy. How cool is that? That floated. I love it. All right, so let's try another object. Here I have just a silver play coin. All right. Do you think it's going to sink or float? Let's find out. It's on the bottom. It's sunk, right? Oh my goodness. It's down in there. Well, let's try another object, okay? So I have a binder clip. It's a small mini binder clip. Okay, it's one of those that goes on the papers, kind of like a paper clip, but it looks like a little binder. All right, so do you think this is gonna sink or float? Here we go. Ah, it sank too. Wow, man. All right, so we're 2 for 2, right? All right, the next thing I have is a plastic button. What do you think, sink or float? Let's find out. It sank too. Amazing, right? This is fun. I'm gonna have to go around my house and see what else I can find. Here we go. Q-tip, right? Sink or float? Let's find out. Well, that is floating, isn't it? It's sitting right on top of the water. It's floating. How cool is that? All right, so I'm gonna take it out. Well, I'm gonna see, because I got it all wet and it's kind of going back and forth. It almost seems like it wants to sink. I don't know. I guess it's still just sitting on top of the water. You're gonna have to try some of these objects, and it might be kind of fun to see if your object does sink and then comes back up, or if all of a sudden it's floating for a while and then all of a sudden you look and it's down. So it's kind of those fun things to try, right? All right, so I have a mini magnifying glass. Is this gonna sink or float? Let's find out. Ooh, that one's floating too. I thought maybe for sure it was gonna sink. So, hey, that's pretty handy. And even when I play with it a little bit, it's still floating. All right, so we've gotten some floaters. How about this one? A seashell. If you've been to the ocean, you already know the answer to this. What does it do? Is it gonna sink or float? It, of course, is gonna sink because that is where seashells are found, right? On the bottom of the ocean, or that's why they're washed up to shore. All right, here we go. Here's another one. A rubber band. What do you think? Sink or float? Let's find out. It's floating. What fun. Oh my goodness. I love it. All right, now, here we go. I have a miniature clothespin. Look at that. It's just a tiny little one. Do you think it's gonna sink or it's gonna float? Let's find out. It sunk. It sunk right to the bottom. Well, I have a bigger clothespin. Do you think it's gonna do the same? Sink or float? Let's find out. Oh my goodness, how amazing is that? The small clothespin sunk, but the plain, larger wooden one floated. Wow, I don't think I would have guessed that. All right, I got a few more objects. Now again, just go around your home and see what you can find that you can practice with, all right? So here's another one. It's just a pom-pom. Oop, a ball, missed the water. See if it, what do you think? Is it gonna sink or float? I don't know, it's kind of one of those that's in between. It's floating right now, but as it soaked up the water, it started to kind of sink. Now it's just kind of hovering there right below the water. That one I might have to just leave in there and watch. All right, sink or float? It's a straw, just a plastic plain straw. Should we find out? All right, here we go. All right, well, it looks like it's floating. I'm gonna just make sure we get it all covered with water, because I want to make sure it does actually float, and it is. It's still just sitting there floating. So I'm gonna take that out. All right, a couple more things. I got a thin Crayola marker. What do you think? Sink or float? Let's find out. floats. Oh my goodness. All right, so that we know floats. Now I've got, here we go. I got a paper clip, metal paper clip. Is this gonna sink or float? Let's find out. Oh, sank right to the bottom. Right? Right to the bottom. So like I said, go around your home and look for some fun items. But before you submerge anything, make sure you ask mom and dad if it's okay. And this guy, he did not sink. He just floated at the top. How cool was that? I love it. You might be surprised by some things, and you might be not surprised, you know? Another thing you could use is a pair of scissors to see if it sinks or floats. You can do a lot of different things. So enjoy and have fun trying to determine whether it sinks or floats. All the while remembering that this was what Peter experienced, right? All of a sudden, he was walking on top of the water. It was almost like he was floating. But as soon as he took his eyes off Jesus, and as soon as he was distracted, he started to sink, didn't he? And immediately, Jesus reached out and helped him. And that's what Jesus does for you and for me. He reaches out and helps us each and every day. And we love him for that. So thanks for being with me today. I hope you enjoy and have fun. And I'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow, which is day 5. Oh my goodness. Anyway, take care, everyone. Bye.